This hustle right here ain't for the broads, Rock. Cause you see, in this shit, you can't give a fuck about nobody, nothing more than your business. Distractions make you weak, make you blink. You don't care about your son any less than I care about Kanan. Listen, Jerome's my heart, but he ain't live inside me. He didn't come out of me, Rock. You and Kanan connected in a way me and Jerome just will never be, Rock. You can't f with that chemistry. It's biology. Even worse. This now iconic exchange took place between Unique and Rock way back in Raising Kanan Season 1 and remains as one of the persistent truths throughout the entire Power universe. We've witnessed the reality of motherhood, its pitfalls, and how the nature versus nurture dynamic has fared against the callousness that is the criminal underworld. These two instincts, the mother and the hustler, are naturally opposed to one another, and in today's video, we'll chronicle how the wisdom of Unique has rung true not just in our most recent Power epic, the climactic Ghost conclusion, but in the Powerverse at large. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my Patreon family. If you'd like to be the next one, hit the link pinned to the comments below. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. Although Unique's stance on motherhood in the business was applied to Rock in that moment, we saw it play out firsthand in the finale of Power Ghost with Noma and Anya. In that series, Anya was perpetual bait for Tariq and Co. She represented the only form of control that could be exercised over an otherwise ruthless Noma, whose earlier portrayals depicted her in such a capacity. This space is where she was most powerful, as Noma ruled with an iron fist while subjecting Tariq, Brayden, Effie, the Tejadas, and her favorite punching bag, Obi, to her tyrannical will. Whatever she required, demanded, or even improvised on a whim had to be carried out with violent penalties on the other end of failure. Her dominance was only circumvented once the crew discovered she had a daughter. Upon that revelation, Anya's life was indefinitely hanging in the balance as her mother scrambled like a pocket passer with no O-line in her efforts to protect the one thing she held dear. These efforts were further undermined once Tariq stumbled upon his adversary's daughter at his own party and began engaging in a continuity of cheek clappage, the likes of which we hadn't seen since his father's most infamous affair. This carnal infiltration only further served to make his nemesis more vulnerable than ever before, and it's in this vulnerable state that Unique's prophetic words truly began to take shape in the form of Noma's many missteps. Noma's first offense was revealing her and Anya's late father, Francesco Lombardi, whom she had Tariq execute in Season 3, true occupations as drug dealers. To compound that revelation, she foolishly added that she was behind Lombardi's death because he had gotten her way as a last-ditch effort to maintain her daughter's safety in the midst of a war of her own making between herself and the Tejadas. These were go-for-broke maneuvers aimed at getting Anya out of harm's way, harm that she created in the first place, not merely from her dark occupation alone, but from killing Monet in cold blood in front of her children. That latter offense directly led to the loss of many of her soldiers, resources, and most critically, Anya's inevitable demise. For all the work she put in to ensure her daughter had a life away from the consequences of criminality, it was all for nothing in the end. Following Tariq getting Anya away from the Tejadas and back to her mother, Anya is murdered in cold blood at Noma's very feet, leaving the drug queen pen in shambles. The otherwise calculated, sinister drug boss was now operating in an emotional, vengeful state. She desired nothing more than the Tejada family being slain, no matter what it cost her or her organization going forward. This is key because it's a direct reflection of Unique's wisdom and process. Distractions make you weak, make you blink. Motherhood, in the traditional sense, is a beautiful experience where love meets sacrifice. In the drug game, however, such a sacrificial demand takes away from the attention needed to maneuver successfully through it. Noma had officially reached such a crossroads. After Anya's removal, Noma was no longer being governed by the qualities necessary to obtain and maintain in the criminal underworld. Those instincts had been replaced by recklessness, desperation, and fear. Chinadu must have picked up on these deadly inclinations as well. He swiftly refused Noma any more access to their network to carry out her aimless campaign against the Tejada family. To him, revenge was too costly, and the situation had gotten too personal for his sister to see it clearly. She had lost her way, and it led to the loss of her very life in the conclusion, as she pursued the Tejadas against the wishes of her brother to a predictably fatalistic end. Noma was, and is, a proverbial example of Unique's timeless wisdom outlined here. But she isn't the only one. In the same season, one episode prior to the fall of Noma, we witnessed Monet Tejada sacrifice her life for her children. An otherwise shrewd, callous hustler who prided herself on being as tough as any man opposing her in the same field, Nene's Achilles' heel was her love for her children, a love that prevented her from harming them even when they plotted against her life. That love was so strong that she often masked it with overt displays of forcefulness while presiding over the family business. However, the emphasis on being hard could never undo the softness that dwelled beneath. At the end of the day, Monet was still yet another loving mother operating in a game where love could get you killed. And unfortunately with Monet, it absolutely did. It was her love that prevented her from allowing Cain to be executed by a maniacal Noma, requiring him to choose between his old life and his pending new one. That kind of love costs everything, and it's a price much too steep for those who choose a lifetime subscription to the game. This is the reason why Tariq informed his mother, Tasha, in the epilogue that so long as he remained a player in the drug game, he'd never tie himself to something that could disrupt his focus on the constant upheaval therein. Though he wouldn't be a mother, he'd still fall prey to the distractions that accompany parenthood as a whole. This is the route of the realist, a route that Ghost himself should have considered prior to being in the life and starting a family. Such a choice is selfish to the core and simultaneously egotistical, because one who believes that they can have blood money without that blood reaching their family have deceived themselves into believing that they can control all outcomes and does not respect the critical nature of the game itself. It's extremely foolish in hindsight, and the only thing that this commentator can give Tariq the edge over Ghost here. He'd lived a life of deception with a drug-dealing family of his own and wasn't about to repeat it. It cost him the life of his father and the well-being of his mother. While we're on Tasha, she's no stranger to Unique's prophetic wisdom either, as she chose to temporarily sacrifice her freedom and later her livelihood in order to protect her son from prosecution and imminent imprisonment. Tasha was no stranger to the game and dealt with many struggles therein, but chose to limit her life in order to extend her son's. It's like Unique said, this hustle right here ain't for the broads, Rock, cause you see, in this shit, you can't give a fuck about nobody, nothing more than your business. Tasha had made peace with her fate and was far removed from the consequences of sacrifice. This is the way of the mother, but unfortunately, this can never be the way of the hustler. And it's for this reason that the two should never become one. But that will do it for this one. What are your thoughts on Unique's prophetic quote and how it applies to the queen pins of the Powerverse? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. We are currently building the Library of Power over on Patreon, so be sure to click the link pinned to the comments for access to legacy reviews, exclusive content, and free music downloads, such as the music that you're hearing in the background here. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.